Okay, guys, so there are a couple of things that I want to tell you about this theater curtain before you call yourself finished with it. The first thing is not just about the theater curtain, but in general, when you're using Illustrator and Photoshop, you should always have your rulers showing. And you do that by going to View, Rulers, and Show Rulers. And once you do that, it should stay viewable as your default. Next time you sign into Creative Cloud, the ruler should be there. Next thing is when you're making your theater curtain, you're working on a canvas that's 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches high. And a lot of you are running into problems because you're making your theater curtain about this wide. And if you look up here, that's less than 2 inches wide. We want it bigger than that. So I'm going to stretch mine all the way across, almost all the way across. And my canvas, my artboard is only 5 inches wide, but you'll see how big of a difference that makes. Also, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that your stroke is turned off. So you should just have a nice red rectangle. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to select the mesh tool. One of the mistakes that I see people making is working on something like this from far away. There's no need to do that, you guys. You should be able to zoom in. And you see, with the mesh tool, I've got my tool ready with the plus sign. Another mistake I'm seeing people make, and this is all about precision, they're just clicking here in the middle of the red. Now, if you look at that, it gives you a mesh point right here. So you've got a line horizontally and vertically. You do not want that. You want only vertical lines, which means you have to be sure that you're only clicking on the path at the top. I'm going to click there, and then I've got a great, perfect vertical line. Now, in the directions, it says to put anchor points or mesh points in groups of 3. So I'm going to do 3 there. I'm going to do 3 there. They don't have to be exactly the same width apart. That's boring. But I am going to come over here and show you why you don't want them too wide. All right, so we've got, and you guys obviously have to do it all the way across. I'm just going to do this for the sake of showing you. I'm going to select my direct selection tool. And these guys up here, you see if I hover over them, they all say anchor because they're all anchor points. Now, if I click this top anchor point, you'll see that it turns blue and its handles pop out. That's how you know that it is selected. But you want to select the top one and the bottom one. And remember, in order to select multiple things at a time, you have to hold Shift. So I'm going to push down Shift, and I'm going to click that bottom anchor point. And then I'm going to come over here and double click my fill box and turn it black. And it gives me this nice gradient. You'll see that the gradient is essentially, if I zoom in, the gradient essentially goes from this path outward. And this path right here and this path right here, those are the paths that stop the gradient. So and that's pretty wide. So if I try it again over here, I'm going to click the middle anchor there, hold Shift, click the middle anchor on the bottom, double click my fill, turn it to black. You'll see that it gives me a different look. And if I try it on this guy, holding Shift, double click, fill with black, you'll see how, and this is actually a good example too of why you don't want them too close together, because if the gradient doesn't have a way to spread out, it can start looking pretty sharp. This is pretty simple, you guys, and I think that a lot of you are rocking it, but I just wanted to clarify a couple of things before you had to turn this in. So if you guys have any questions, don't ever hesitate to ask me, but don't forget, Google it. Google's a great resource.